Okay, we're back again with old Stubby here because we have to change out an HVAC blower motor. Our old motor is kind of weak. It blows relatively slow, even on high, so it's not moving the amount of air we need to move so we can keep this thing cool. It's a pretty simple thing to do, but the first thing that has to be done, we'll get up under here, got to get under the dash because you have to remove your ECU box right here. There's 3 bolts, 10mm bolts, that are really only accessible with a wrench. Got a wrench on one of them right here. Yep. And got another one right there, these gray ones. Then, let's see, we go under here if we focus. Got another one right there. So, I think there might be a 4th one. No, I don't think so. But we'll see in a second. But yeah, right there. Try to get the wrench in there so we could at least try to see just how hard it is to get in there. You might need to pop off the little retainers for your cables. Obviously you want to be careful with this stuff. It might not be too bad. Just kind of work the wires out of the way a little bit, enough so that I could be able to get the wrench in there. And there we are, sort of. But yeah, get the idea though. You gotta kind of get the wrench in there and take this garbage off. Do the open end, it's easier. But yeah, just get your 3 bolts off and we'll see how that plays out. The other 2 bolts aren't as bad to access because that wire right there is just a matter of being moved out of the way to get access to them. Not too horrifying, but simple thing. Get these bolts out and be able to move our ECU out of the way. One thing to make note of, that last bolt right there, because of where it's at, you don't have to fully remove it. Just loosening it up enough that it'll slide down and come free from its little bracket, so you could be able to actually move the entire ECU out of the way. So at this point, our ECU is free. Now, there are a couple of things you might want to think about. Do you want to unplug your ECU or no? Will you be able to get to your fan right here and get it all the way down without boogering up any wires? Let's see if we could do that. Okay, to remove your blower motor, 2 little 8mm bolts. We have our socket on one of them. The other one is, let's get to a better spot, right there. And if we look on our new blower, we'll see that you got your 2 mounting points, and then there's this funny tab right here on the inside. I have to see if there's a bolt way up in there, but it doesn't seem like it. I already loosened up the bolts some, but it's just a matter of getting these bolts off. Now, your vehicle might have a bolt in that odd spot. Not sure. But for right now, our main bolts are these 2 right here that I pulled off. And then of course you have your wire harness right here that you have to snap free. That I might need both of my hands to do that, so give me a second. Okay, we have that disconnected. So now, let's see. Have to clock the body a little bit to see how to get these tabs free. Here's our tabs right there. The biggest thing that's really in the way is this padding right here. If you got padding there, that may end up becoming a problem to get by. Give me a second here. Try to do this in a way where we're not boogering up any wiring here, because we can't afford that shit. There we go. Got it free. All our wiring is still in place, and our blower motor is out. The next thing that has to be done is removing the cage from the old motor so you can put it on the new motor. There's like a little snap ring, if this thing would focus, that is pressed on there, and it kind of locks in place to hold the cage on the shaft of the motor. Now, I'm sure there's more quote-unquote professional ways of doing this crap, but sometimes you might not have access to the special tools to do it. So the way I'm looking at it is using a small flathead screwdriver and very carefully working around this thing and prying it up so you can get the thing all the way off. So that right there is what we're gonna do right now. Here we go. Thing to make note of is the flat spot on the shaft. Let's see if we can see that. That flat spot has to be lined up with the flat spot on the motor. There we go. You might need to manipulate the tabs on your lock ring so they could be able to lock down on the shaft. A pair of pliers will do that pretty well. Just kind of work the thing until the tabs appear to be flat, or at least not sticking up at a slight angle. That should be able to lock this thing back in place. This lock ring may or may not fit in place solidly, but of course with aftermarket stuff, that's what you end up getting. Our old setup had a smooth shaft right here for the lock ring to grab onto. This one has a groove for something like a cert clip or something, But I'll have to see if I have one of those to lock on here in place of this thing, so give me a second. Because our original lock ring does not fit perfectly snug on the new motor's shaft as it did with the old one, I had to use an extra retaining clip or snap ring, and it's locked in place in the groove that's present on this motor. Now the groove is a little bit wider than the snap ring that I have on here, but between that snap ring and our original lock ring, this thing is pretty much on here, so we should be good to go on that. And if yours is the same, you might have to do this in order to hold this thing in place if your motor did not come with a retaining ring to lock the squirrel cage in place. The next thing you'll need to address, especially if your aftermarket motor did not come with the plug in place on the wire ends, is, well, install the plug on the wire ends, the little plastic wire harness clip. That's pretty simple because these wires have little tabs on them to lock them in place. Just make sure you get the polarity right, otherwise you might be in for a little bit of crap. So look at your old motor for a reference. Looking at our old motor for reference, we could see that this end here is where the negative goes, and this end where the open part is at is where our positive goes. Make sure 100%, and then snap all this garbage together. We're all snapped together, and we are now ready for reinstallation. As would be the case, reinstallation is reverse of removal. So I'm going to carefully get this thing in place in much the same way we did as we were removing the thing. I need to fight this sucker. You obviously want to be careful not to damage the wiring or the squirrel cage itself. Sucker. Okay. I got it in there. Now I can put our screws back in. You don't really want to snug the crap out of them because these are like coarse tread screws going into plastic. So you definitely don't want to tighten the crap out of them and strip said plastic. Okay, we got our motor bolted back in place. We got our wire harness bolted up. The sound you hear right now is not the fan. That's the sound of the fan. Sounding pretty strong, so I think we're good to go on that fan. We could go ahead and bolt our ECU back in place in reverse of how we took it out. Remember the bolt in the back that slides into the groove. Okay, our ECU panel is in place. The same 3 10mm bolts secured, holding the bracket in place. So with that, we're pretty much ready to go. The blower works as demonstrated. So with that, we can conclude the swapping out of an HVAC blower motor on a 99 through 2004 Chevy Tracker, whether 2-door or 4-door. So with that, we're going to move on to bigger and better things, because our job here is done. So as usual, hit the like, subscribe button. Make sure to hit the notifications to make sure you get updates on new videos, and check out TikTok for any shorts that I might throw up there, as well as YouTube shorts. And we'll catch you later, because there's more work to be done. So till the next time, I'm out.